experiment. Gee, it'd be a lot nicer if we had a introduction or something jazzy like that. Maybe we can get onto that during the week. But this is episode 2. Thank you so much for the feedback from episode 1. The comments were lit up with nothing but lovely, nice things, and got some great feedback, and it's just really cool to see. And the amount of support from honesty in YouTube is it's kind of refreshing. That's the angle I was kind of hoping for here, and sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the bit of fear behind lining up for an Ironman, and hopefully narrating the next 2.5-3 months and getting myself to that red carpet from the point right now of I can celebrate now. 121 kilos down. So I think if you remember from last week, I was 124 when I started and not in a good place. But we're going to start this episode with a bit of an insight into what this episode's going to be. Once again, it's just me ranting down the camera. I'm going to try to keep it to that 15-minute mark. You may notice the headphones and the microphone. I am recording this at a good level of audio quality for the podcast. So if you can't handle staring at this face or it's too much floral for your eyes, jump onto the podcast. I'll put the link in the comments and click through and just listen to the podcast if you're that way inclined. Now, this episode is the 7 P's. Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. So like I've stated, from a health point of view, my training at the moment is far from where it should be for somebody who's looking down the barrel of an Ironman. To put in perspective, 3 months out from the Port Macquarie Ironman at Port Mac, which was last year, I was doing 2 run sessions, 2 bike sessions, sometimes 3, 2 swim sessions, and 2 to 3 gym sessions a week. The hours were insane. And then due to long COVID, the volume I'm doing at the moment, which is cool. I'm celebrating it because I'm able to get through it now, is 3 40-minute sessions a week. In more good news, this week has been even more positive than last. I've maintained energy throughout the 40-minute sessions. I've bounced back quicker. The fatigue, the joint pain is all moving away, which is very exciting. I'm unsure. When I first realised that it was long COVID and I first had the doctor tell me in the first few Instagram posts I did and found out a few quality humans, Dan Price and Alex Bell, replied straight away. They had long COVID about 6 months ago and they both said the same thing. It was 3 months of fatigue and ache and, nasally and all those, the usual symptoms. And then it basically eases off and it moves away. And I really hung hope onto that. The whole time I knew it was just going to be 3 months of, grinding it out and seeing what happened. But then 2 weeks before the 3-month mark, I spoke to another few people through Facebook and just through real life, which is a weird concept nowadays, that had long COVID and it lasted. They've still got symptoms 12 months down the track. That really, really scared me to think that it was going to be much longer. But hopefully, touch wood, the last 2 weeks, energy levels through the roof, eager to get back to training. But like I said, and like I touched on in the first episode, it's really important now not to, rush back into it and up that load and just dive in head first, because I am carrying weight and I have in the past. I've done it numerous times. I get stupidly excited and I decide to go run a half marathon or go do something dumb on my feet. And unfortunately, this is a fact of life, that when you're 37, 124 kilos and you go and try to run, a Paddy Mac City to Surf effort, or you go and push yourself like you see any of your mates doing on Strava, it's going to affect you in the long run. You're going to end up with all the weird injuries that the niggles that I used to get, which was just dead set overloading. So that's where this episode comes in really vitally, and this is why I want to put this episode right here now for anyone following along. Like, we do make the mistake when we get back into training or resume training, or we do set a goal, that it's really hard not to go the David Goggins mentality and just attack it and, fire ourselves up and, get stuck in. And that motivation's great, but motivation's only short term. You're only going to be able to sustain that for, depending on who you are, anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks before you start really questioning what your purpose is or what you're doing. So like I said, I only have that wisdom because I've done it numerous times, but it is important that we pump the brakes and give ourselves COVID or no COVID a day after our initial activity, just to let the body settle and kind of show you what's sore and what's not. And it's also really important to make sure that our training's accurate for our goals or accurate for our skill level. It's you can't just read a runner's program offline and pick that up and go for it if you haven't run for the last 10 years. So just have a bit of accountability with setting up your training. can, help you do it. And like I said, motivation won't last. However, if you have discipline, or if you have a bulletproof plan, it's a much safer, much easier way to do it. And one of the first comments we had from Mark Tipple in the comments was, how do you and Ali structure training so you both can train and it's not deemed as being selfish, or I'm not taking time away from my family? And that was a great comment, and one that I've had to work, me and my wife Ali have had to work really hard at, to ensure that we're not taking time off each other, and we're not kind of resenting the fact that one person's getting more than the other to train, or one person's spending more time out of the house. It's really important for that sake of that relationship, when your support network are the people closest to you, and they're the most important people. So it's important that they are a vital part in your training, and they're also supporting of your training. So that way, when the motivation does come back down, or you're not feeling up for it, they can boost you up and they can hold you accountable to what you've worked out. So what I've done is worked out, basically start with a weekly plan. If you sit down and break the days down into your 7 days and have a look and add the non-negotiables, which is pretty easy to work out your non-negotiables. It's work or school, whatever the priority is. Lock that in, including travel time. Lock that in, block that out, make that crystal clear. That's your non-negotiables. And then you can start adding things in. You can kind of find holes, and with that accountability of who you are, how you train, where you train, what your goals are, you can kind of find spaces on that 7 days. So I personally know I'm a morning person, for the reason that if I train of an afternoon, it gives me probably 10 to 12 hours of being awake to think of an excuse, and I get pretty creative with my excuses. You give me 12 hours to get out of a swim set, I've convinced myself that my shoulder's sore, or convinced myself that I'll do it tomorrow morning, or I'm pretty good at excuses. Whereas no, if it's locked in the morning and I wake up and I can get out the door before I'm fully awake and convince myself that it's a bad idea, that 99% of the time I can get it done. So that makes planning really easy. I know that I'm thankfully, thanks to years of finding that time and knowing that it works with me. 5 a.m. is a beautiful time to get up and train. And I know that's a time that doesn't affect my family time, doesn't affect, things like that. But not everyone can train at 5 a.m. So you find what works for you. But then we also have to, if I'm taking 3 mornings a week out at 5 a.m. to go for an hour and a half, or to go do something, it's finding another 3 times of the week that Ali can go do her thing, and helping her kind of doing the same thing, putting her time in to the week planner, and knowing that, it's just as vital for her to go and train, and find that balance with your partner and work through your weekly plan. And really being honest too, there's like, you really want to bulletproof that training block. You want to almost go through all of your hypotheticals. You want to go through all of your excuses and make sure that there's no excuses, or there's no easy way out. Because as good as it is when you're sitting down motivated to write that plan down, once again, that motivation is going to stop. So, removing things like, oh yeah, no, I'll do a Friday afternoon 2K swim set after work on a Friday. Like putting that down, and then knowing that you're, a bit vulnerable to a long lunch on a Friday with work, and that's always going to get binned every week. It doesn't matter how good your intentions are, that'll always get binned. So, until you can get a handle on your long lunches on a Friday, maybe don't put anything in on a Friday afternoon. Maybe put that on a Thursday afternoon. Just having that kind of look into it. And once you get your weekly plan roughly mud mapped out, you start to learn as you're going through your weekly plan, like, oh, that didn't work because I needed the car at this time for this reason, or that didn't work because of this. And then you can kind of come back and reflect on it, and you can refine it to the point that we've got ours down to a crossover now of like 15 minutes. I walk in the door in my cycling gear, and Allie's out the door in her Pilates gear, and I make Duke's lunches. So this comes back to how you can help. I make Duke's lunches on the days that I train of the morning, and, vice versa. We rotate through. So it's, it's that effective teamwork, and having that conversation that rather than just being selfish and taking, hey, I need to do this, I've got this race that I need to do this, or I'm going to Busso Ironman, I need to do this. That doesn't mean that you do have to be selfish, and you do have to, neglect your family and leave them on the outer. It's definitely much funner if you can include them somehow and work through it and manage expectations. Like I know, so perfect example for managing expectations is Saturdays. when I first started, and especially starting now. Saturday mornings are a 5 a.m. start, up, ride. This is when I'm in a training block, and that's a 5-hour ride. Then I come home and I run for half an hour, and then Ali kind of goes out and she does her lunchtime gym session and her running around. And it'd be really unfair of me to say, or if I planned that, oh yeah, when I get home, I'll have a shower and we'll go do something, you know, we'll go to the park or we'll go for a walk or I'll go kick the footy around with Duke. That's a silly expectation to have. Or, you know, if I'm going to be home at 10:30 knowing that there's no way I'm going to be back on my bike from Kurnell at 10:30, like say midday, always shoot overs. And again, have this wisdom because I've burnt that bridge many a times. However, yeah, I'm going to be absolutely horizontal when I get home on a Saturday afternoon. So yeah, I'll have a 2-hour nap on the lounge while Duke, you know, fortunately catches up on some YouTube time or some FIFA. And then at 2 p.m, I'm kind of I come good. I have some lunch and I'm good to go. And then we can start our afternoon. And that works really well because in that 2 hours that I'm horizontal, Ali's out doing her stuff. So it's not affecting her training. So once again, you know, really be mindful of the moving parts that you need in your life. Not all of us can be, you know, single, kid-free, full wallet, full time, and just train. It's something that definitely has to be worked on each week. Now, it's really important once you have your weekly plan to implement that into your monthly plan. So once you get your weeks working or your days working into your week, then have a look at your month. And a lot of people get themselves into trouble with not having things on their training plan or their training calendar, like weddings or buck shows or birthday parties or things like that. And then all of a sudden it sneaks up and you're like, oh, I was meant to go for a 20K run on Sunday, or, you know, my big run on Sunday, and I've actually got something on Saturday night, and they wait until Saturday to figure that out. Whereas by having a monthly plan, you can kind of move things around in your weekly plan to accommodate for that. Like, you know, if you are still prone to having a drink or writing yourself off on the Saturday night, you're not going to sleep properly, don't commit to a Sunday session that requires, you know, you to be peak fitness and peak awareness and not hungover. It's poor training. It's just not going to work well. And like I said, your odds are you're probably not going to do it. So it's really important. I'm taking the time now to really kind of bulletproof my training and make sure that even though at the moment it's only 3 half-hour sessions a week, moving up to 4 half-hour sessions a week, or, you know, however long I am out of the house, I'm making sure that not only are they locked in, but by having conversations with Ali about the future and about where I'm going to increase volume or what I'm going to do to make it actually work, it makes Ali part of the process. And, you know, I think it is really important to have that conversation. That it might look like I'm being selfish, but it's 3 months. If you can kind of give me that flexibility for 3 months that I can pursue a goal, a fairly big goal, like an Ironman's a huge goal, like finishing an Ironman's a huge goal. So if you can give me that flexibility and that teamwork that I can have 3 months of being, you know, determined and focused towards a goal, what that means is after that 3 months, you know, you can take 3 months to pursue, you pick a goal. And if that's not your thing, that's cool, but you get me back. Once I finish, not only do you get me back, you get me back as a better person. And I think people are really quick to dismiss ideas like that because it's not, you know, great time management wise with their family or their friends, but it's self-improvement. Doing an Ironman is like one of the greatest things I've ever done. It taught me so much about myself and so much about what I could do. And for the time after the Ironman, as much as I wasn't training or I wasn't pursuing a goals or a finish line, I was taking the lessons that I learnt in training for an Ironman and putting them into my, not only my personal life, but my business life. Like Bottle.It wouldn't exist without the initiative or self-drive that I learnt from doing an Ironman. So yeah, it is important to, you know, really take some pride in what you're doing and, you know, and sell that big picture thing to your family, your friends, and your partner. It's a huge goal. And if they love you, like you should love yourself, they're going to be front row, and they will be front row. There's something special about supporting someone achieving their goals. And like I said, it's that momentum thing. You see someone do something that they've set goals on, you want to be around it. So definitely Bulletproof. Another example in regards to training, I have to spend, or I'm going to spend, I mean, you know, I've got to change that wording. You shouldn't have to do anything. You should want to do it. I have an exercise bike. It's just off camera. I've been on it. I shared it last Saturday that I was sitting on the exercise bike. Now, that's been sitting upstairs for the last 12 months gathering dust. I bought it off Marketplace with the full intention to set it up and spend, you know, like everyone, spend hours on it each week. It doesn't get used. It's just been hidden in the studio and then just outside the studio door. And it's just been sitting in the bedroom staring at us. The reason why it can't be used, it's nothing to do with the the exercise bike or, the training program or even long COVID. I was able to sit on it when I had long COVID and just turn the legs over, but I didn't. Reason is it's upstairs. That's it in a nutshell. It's not, despite seeing it every day, it's unsocial for me to sit on it when I could be sitting on it. I only need to sit on it for half an hour to an hour. I can move that physically downstairs and have it in a place that when me and Duke are home, Duke's doing his homework, Duke's doing his reading, I can sit on it. So I can incorporate that into my routine to be used more, to be more efficient. And it's just little things like that. Like there are ways, you just got to find ways to be more effective with your training. Time's not the issue. It's finding out how to, I think, take opportunities with that time. And, this morning, walk Duke to school, don't drive him to school. There's half an hour in zone 2, time on feet. That was another big one. I felt like I missed an opportunity. I was really upset to miss out on City to Surf. I had intentions to run City to Surf, and with the Cairns Ironman and the weight I was losing, my goal of getting a sub 1 hour City to Surf time was crossed out, and Duke wanted to do it, so I had the decision, and I decided rather than run it poorly that I'd do it with Duke. Now that really isn't optimal Ironman training, walking the City to Surf course with Duke at a 11-minute pace. Like from the outside looking in, that was going to cause some frustration. But when you actually unpack it and look at it, it was an opportunity to be present for a core memory of my child's life, which in itself was very exciting, and that in alone was enough to do it. But when you look at it from a purely training point of view and take the emotions and the nostalgia out of it, it was 3.5 to 4 hours time on feet. So I was not seated. I was on literally as that, on feet, believe it or not. And that is your really quick introduction to running a marathon. I've got to run a marathon off a bike. At my best, I'll be 4 hours on my feet. So it's that really cool way to build resilience and to build that strength in your knees, your hips, your ankles, that time under load. It's probably one of the most valuable training sessions I've done, because especially the next 3 months, like I probably wouldn't go and do a 4-hour walk on a Sunday just for the sake of time on feet. So it managed to sneak its way in there. So yeah, looking at things like an opportunity rather than a chore is one of those cool ways to look at it. So once again, thank you. Aid Station have given us the discount code. I do share it in the comments. We are open to more sponsors. Quare help out with our kit. They're on board. We've got a few other sponsors coming around, which we'll announce sooner rather than later. But at the moment, thank you so much for your support. Like I said, the DMs, the messages, the comments have all been unreal. I take a lot out of the comments. I take a lot out of the support. Like it really, really helps, and it is driving me to the time that I'm not in front of the camera and not on social media. I'm aware that we're building something here and it's going to be special. So yeah, I'll continue to do it each week, and yeah, we'll get to that red carpet in style. Once again, anything you want to hear or know, hit the comments. We do have a giveaway coming for comments. So even if you just leave a thumbs up, the okay sign, whatever you need to leave in the comments to make sure that you're in the running for another giveaway. So Instagram has the nominate what the prize should be. So go and throw a comment there if there's something specific you want to win. But then once again, the YouTube crowd will be rewarded with the giveaway. So leave a comment. That helps us bump the algorithm up. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much.